think there's a lot of writing for money. Well, some of you definitely a lot of it, but I don't even know how to invest it. Typically, I'm just sure I want to be great at work.
Welcome to Conspiracy Unplugged, the ultimate conspiracy. We are in a simulation. Are we? Welcome to Conspiracy Unplugged, where we expose the code behind control. The NSA built the hash, quantum breaks the keys, blockchain tracks it all, and Revelation warned us. While Bitcoin distracted the masses, XRP is being crowned the global digital currency, fast, compliant, and ready to run the beast system. Let's unplug the lies. Today I have Landy Langley and Rob Nelson is out traveling, but he will be back with us next Wednesday. But Landy, what if I told you Bitcoin was the ultimate Trojan horse? They made it look decentralized, but it's the most centralized trap in disguise. How the hell are you?
I'm doing great. Wow. You baited me on that one. Holy crap. Now I know what we're getting into. All right. All right. I would call you a conspiracy theorist.
Completely a conspiracy. Okay, come on, Landy. We've discussed this before, right? And
Mhm.
one of the conspiracy theories that I have is that the NSA could have planted this. So the theory is the US National Security Agency, also known as NSA, they created Bitcoin as the Trojan horse for the future digital control grid. You know, we've discussed this before. The SH, or we call it the SHA-256 algorithm, Bitcoin's core hash function created by the NSA in 2001. I know that we've covered this multiple times. They came out with a how to mint the how to make a mint. Man, why am I stuttering today? What the hell is wrong? You know what? It's the rain, the thunder. But they did how to make a mint, the cryptography of anonymous electronic cash, which the document in question was officially released October 31st, 1996. Satoshi's
Mhm.
never has ever revealed his identity, disappears, classic spook behavior. And Bitcoin sets up the infrastructure for traceable money under the illusion of privacy. So, my twist is they created the decentralized honeypot, let all of us anarchists adopt it, and later use the same tech to justify central bank digital currencies. Now, how does
Mm.
DARPA and Project Backtrack play into this?
Let's hear it. Let's hear what you got. Let's hear what you got. Let's go.
Another theory, Bitcoin originated from DARPA's Black Budget programs to develop decentralized networks for wartime resilience. The timing of Bitcoin's release right after the 2008 financial collapse, very convenient, right? That offered a solution when trust in banks is at the lowest and everybody ran to it. DARPA, they were already researching distributing networks and like the onion routing and the precursor to Tor, which is one of the first time that I heard it was chatting with you and Hotep. I mean, it's the
Mhm.
perfect sandbox, Landy. Watch global adoption of decentralized systems in real time, no?
Well, I mean that's a fun theory. But here's the thing. I mean, we use the internet, and the internet
Right.
was it's ARPA net, right? So
Yeah.
was born out of ARPANET, and part of creating these types of systems, whether it's cryptographic systems um, or networks, and and all of the different tools that enable running these networks. The main reason that you democratize and decentralize and open source these systems is so that they're adopted, so that you have cover. right?
Yeah.
Not so that you can control, but so that you can have cover for your activities, right? And um, once it's out there, once it's out there, you can't rein it back in, right? So the idea that Bitcoin is a decentralized honeypot. I've yeah, is a decentralized honeypot that that is going to bring about the advent of CBDCs. Ignores the entire fact that we're already living in an electronic cash system with the dying paper money side of things still floating out there, right? And when you look at how when we call it money printing, they're actually not printing new dollars, and anytime that we do get new iterations for counterfeit measures in money, they take back the older bills and they're destroyed, right? So,
Right.
and we're seeing less and less bills in circulation. And all of the guardrails that people equate to programmable CBDCs are already in place. And I myself have been debanked personally. So we already live in that system. And um, if you want my take on this, this is the twist: is that I don't disagree because when
But
Bitcoin was being developed, the intel agencies obviously keep an eye on all of this stuff. It's
yeah,
utilizing technology that has been a part of various intel agencies and special access projects within intelligence agencies around the world. They're all working on something, right? And then you get all of the IEEE standards, and you get all of these different standards that are also created in conjunction with colleges that are being funded with defense dollars and have hooks right into the Defense Department, and various vectors of funding educational institutions to higher learning and stuff like that for research. And in most cases, what you see is that it's a public-private kind of a building, and a lot of that stuff being open source for a reason, because you need the peer review, you need the numbers, you need the eyeballs to help you get through and hammer on something to make it solid, right?
yeah,
And and this is where Bitcoin may have been. I highly doubt it was NSA specifically.
right,
If we're gonna speculate, I would speculate that it was a special access project, probably directed and headed up by DARPA. And or if it didn't originate there, they wormed their way in through various vectors and agents, right?
right.
And that's you get to people, right? And you can contract them, and you can have them work on things, and then you have a lot of public open source people working on it as well. And I don't necessarily believe that 100% either. I'm not like convicted in that statement. But when it comes to Bitcoin, what I do think it is, I do think it's a financial Trojan horse. I think it was always meant to be a financial Trojan horse for the centralized fractional reserve system that we have as a hedge against it. Because here in the United States, we live in a global economy. You need to have a hedge even against your own systems that you're building and working within. And I do think that is obviously a hedge against inflation, a fungible asset. And yes, I'm not going to get into the whole Adam back six. If you're going to stay on network, you can still transfer those sats. It's all about off ramping. But I don't think that it would. Bitcoin would be a really bad CBDC.
Yes,
Be a really bad CBDC.
this is why they need others, to enter. I think Bitcoin was the starter. Now, I do wanna go because there's other points or other theories that I have that I wanna get into, and you might,
Sure.
throw something at me, Landy. So, I wanna talk about the banking cartel psyop. You know,
Mm,
some of
okay.
us kind of because that's gonna move into, like, my other theory. So, global banking elites, we know it's what? IMF, BIS, central banks, and I think that they greenlit Bitcoin to normalize digital assets So to see how the world would accept tokenized fiat later. So of course, it's like Bitcoin introduced the idea of digital currency, but they can't scale globally without centralized upgrades. So this is where enters like Ripple, JPM Coin, and others, right? Without knowing, like yourself and other Bitcoin maximalists, y'all accidentally paved the way for the same institutions they wanted to destroy. It's like the same institutions we all wanted to destroy. Actually, we, the paved the way.
Enabling. No.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah.
So, okay.
They were going to
So
build their own
remember,
system either
okay,
way.
right. Okay. So is it safe to say, because a little bit down the line, I'm going to tell you why I'm asking this question. Is it safe to say that the banking cartel, or however we want to call them, IMF, BIS,
Mhm.
can we say that they are
Fed.
like
Don't ignore the
banking
Fed.
cartel?
Oh
All
yeah, I
right.
mean we do have banking cartels, and they're all over the world. Yeah,
Right.
I mean
So I was
but
go
they're
for it.
functional.
Yeah. So I
They're
was
they're
doing
functional. Mm,
very functional. So I was doing a little
mhm.
research, right? And we know that Ripple's subsidiary, Standard Custody and Trust Company, they applied for a Federal Reserve master account, which will allow them to hold reserves directly with the Fed and issue or redeem their dollar-backed stablecoin. For the
Okay.
people that don't know or understand, like, what does this mean for us? Like, what does this really mean? And they want direct access to the U.S. central banking system. They wouldn't need to rely on third-party banks to hold USD reserves or settle transactions. They could issue and redeem their stable coin or their coin, whatever. So, in plain terms, Ripple wants to become a digital native bank, one with fewer middlemen and more control. I know I was saying the other day, I came up and was like, Ripple is going to try to be the number one digital currency of the world. And
Yeah,
one of the
they got a
things that
little
we,
bit of competition though,
yes.
just a
Now,
little.
with that being said, one of the reasons that I said that too is because enter Project Agora. So, have you heard of Project Agora?
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
Let's get into it.
for the people that don't know, Project Agora is an ambitious public private initiative that is led by the BIS Innovation Hub in partnership with 7 central banks and consortium of private financial institutes. And
Mhm. We're really gonna
launched,
go here. All right.
yes, we're going to go here. This is why I was asking, okay, is it safe to say the banking cartel, IMF, BIS? So we know that it launched April 3rd, 2024, Project Agora, right? By the BIS, along with Bank of England, Bank of France, Bank of Japan, Bank of Korea, Bank of Mexico, Swiss National Bank, and Federal Reserve Bank of New York.
Yeah.
And then the IIF, which is the Institute of International Finance, which convenes over 40 private sectors firm, global banks, payment providers, market infrastructures like Visa, MasterCard, Swift, etc.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, so what's the theory then? What is the theory? Is that they are going to utilize what to do what?
so enter Ripple.
Yeah. And Ripple's gonna be the rails for the CBDCs, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, I mean this is not hidden. Um, it- Ripple has been trying to get XRP as a central bank digital currency. That's been the goal for a long time, right? But the game has changed quite a bit from those original goals. there's a lot of competition, and these are, for instance, like just talking about Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, let's walk back a few steps here. Um, Bitcoin is a Trojan horse for the entire financial system globally. And while there are obviously arguments that it's only anonymous, and you can use, chain analysis to track transactions and track down the people that initiated those transactions, and this has obviously led to seizures and all kinds of stuff, and surveillance obviously is a thing. And this is where I've always said that, I believe that this is meant for the bigger players as an asset, because if they adopt it, we can see what they are doing, right? Because we can also track them. They can track us, we can track them. And we can just build other privacy chains and then just have them hook into Bitcoin, right? So these are things that there are a lot of countries that are rolling out and testing CBDCs.
Mhm.
And why would you go to another network to build your CBDC if you want to have full control? Because you risk not having full control. And this is the thing, is like, even XRP is, well, it's not as decentralized, but it is still a decentralized permissionless network, right? And the backlash, if you try to tack on all of the permissions to any of these networks, you have to change the networks in terms of their structure, right?
Right.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense to do that when you already have all of these different devs out there. Hire someone, build your own damn one, and then put all the freaking guardrails up yourself, right? And
Yeah.
they've been doing that. They've been piloting these things. They've been piloting CBDCs. So I actually would argue that even XRP, if successful, and in terms of its adoption, it would be less desirable to people who are advocates, of course, of decentralization and privacy, which, if you're an advocate of decentralization and privacy, you're probably not using any of these protocols. You're probably on Monero,
So,
right?
what if XRP was designed from day one to serve the financial institutions because it's fast, cheap, scalable for global payments? I mean,
So are
you
a ton
don't
of
think
other
that
blockchains.
what? So, but what
There's a ton
if
of others. Why use XRP? They have
why not?
competition now. They have competition now. And there's other bigger players that are already partnering up with other networks. Like JP Morgan is, their JPMD, a big announcement was that they were going to Base to issue their stablecoin, and institutions are already using it, right?
Mhm.
So, like, this is an increasingly competitive environment, and with the passage of the Genius Act, private and public institutions, can be issuers, right? And I
Mhm.
get, like, okay, well, why would they want an account with the Fed? Well, because the Fed is managing the auctions for the Treasury, right? Like, this is where you want to be if you want direct access to actually have the backing to issue these stable coins. And the banks that are going to be issuing stable coins already have direct access, right? They're already plugged in. All of these banks are members of the Federal Reserve. They're Federal Reserve member banks, right? And they already have access. They can already, do all the magic that you like to see on the back end, move treasuries over, they can move cash over, and they can immediately issue. So anybody coming from the outside in needs to become a bank, and you're going to want all those relationships in order to enable you to issue your stable coins, right? And become, like here in the United States, a stablecoin issuer, and be, compliant under the regulations of the actual Genius Act.
Right, and you
And
don't think that XRP was maybe designed from day one to serve specifically the financial institutions, and that's why it's probably
it
one of
was.
those that is selected?
No,
So, me
I mean, you can design something for them. That doesn't mean they're going to adopt it. If you can design something for Landy, and he might look at what you're designing and go, "That's really nice that you designed that. That works really well. Why don't you hammer on that for the next 15 years?" And then we're gonna take and pilfer all of that and build our own shit. Like, why
Yeah.
would we bother? Like, we own it. Like, go ahead. And it's not decentralized or permissionless, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's no, it just, for that kind of, and here's like, Bitcoin is pretty opposite of CBDCs because of that entire decentralization versus centralization. And almost all of the tokens that we have are almost all of them. But the easiest way is you take over and you adopt existing technology and then you create your own off the back of it. And then you centralize, right? So
Yeah.
JP Morgan goes over and they're spinning up on base on layer 2 Ethereum for the base network, right? And then, well, it's an EVM. They can just start up their own sidechain, right? They can just spin up their own at the end of the day and have full control over it, right? And only they are the ones allowed to settle blocks on. But it's still ultimately going to be settled back on layer 1, which is a decentralized network that is permissionless. So what we're getting is we're actually going to be getting competition between banking institutions and stablecoin issuers. That means that they have to compete. And now they even have to one-to-one back instead of operating in a fractional reserve system. And we're going to siphon off that system into a one-to-one back system with treasuries here in the United States. That's what's happening. And now the fear is well, this is obviously going to be digital dollars that can be fully controlled. And all it takes is yada, 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 yada. Well, all we do is we just utilize the base layer networks and we have our own systems that we can pop up here and there that are going to be stable. We can pop up our own stable coins. We can just end around them at every turn because they're adopting and having to decentralize in order to try and save themselves so that they can re-centralize later. And while they're trying to adopt and adjust, we're faster and more nimble as little pockets that you can't put the fires out of, right? And then we can just build something and spin something else up and do it ourselves, right? And end around them at every turn. We saw this with the Canadian trucker stuff when they shut down the bank accounts and then they were trying to stop on ramping and off ramping. Is you saw new innovators coming up with different ways to do things and get people money and help them out when all of the other platforms are being shut down and bank accounts were being shut down and they were, getting on exchanges to stop payment and not allow them to off ramp and like all this other stuff. You go decentralized. There's nothing you can do. VPN decentralized, hot wallets, hardware wallets, and we can get you in. Like there's always a way around all of it. So that it's for these centralized institutions, it's adopt or die. So to adopt, they have to decentralize and compete so that they can try to outcompete and re-centralize.
Okay, so then we kind of are in agreement possibly that XRP probably may not be the crypto asset that takes over the world, right? Now, is
I
it safe to say
I don't
that
know.
XRP can be the bridge for the banking system to
Oh sure,
open
yeah,
the
they have
door for
relationships.
others? And maybe the JP coin is the hidden hand token, that
Well,
will
I
be the
mean,
the one for the cartel.
yeah, no. It's all one big system. Anytime that you're attaching yourself to some sort of a stable or fiat pegged system, at the end of the day, you have to operate within the confines of that box, right?
Mhm.
Because you're operating in a system in which you are backing the issuance of these tokens with treasuries, which is directly linked and is a vector for the entire fiat system,
Yeah.
right? And you still have to move within the confines of that box. So what this really means is that we have a pair, right? We have our main tokens that we love, our Bitcoin, our XRPs, our Ethereums and whatnot that can be pegged against those. And there will always be another peg. And then people will always have a way around it. Like they can try to take it over and they have to brute force it with printed dollars, right?
Yeah.
And but those printed dollars now have to be one to one back, so they're even boxed in. And now they have to compete. So would XRP be the Pied Piper? No, it's the JP Morgans, the Chases, the Bank of Americas, the Wells Fargo's, you just go down the list. Those are the Pied Pipers of the next future possible CBDC tokens. It's not XRP. They're just fighting for relevance at this point to try and get and become back end rails for all of this stuff. And sure, they can power some of it, but at the end of the day, these guys are building and going to issue on their own, and they're going to go with the most popular, easiest way to do it right off the bat. And some are going to choose XRP, and they're going to choose the Ripple ledgers, right?
Possibly, yes. Say hello to the chat really quick. Hi, Tammy. Uh, everybody wants to send me back to Mexico. David says he's going to go visit Mexico. Hi, Leanne. John Legend. But okay, so then we're not in agreement that, okay, in my opinion, eventually we are going to be moving into a completely digitized world, right? And I know that we keep saying, well, we already digital, we are already digital, but not everybody uses cryptocurrency. Not everybody is still onboarded. We still have to onboard a lot of people. So who do you think possibly will be the main currency of the world? I mean, is it safe to say that Bitcoin probably will be the digital gold that backs everything up? But what is the main one that we're going to be using? Like you already said, it's not XRP, and
It's going to be a
XRP can
digital
be
dollar.
like the bridge,
No,
digital dollar.
it's just going to be a digital dollar. And at first, we're just going to be dealing with many different versions of digital dollars that
Mhm.
are going to be fighting for relevance to try and dominate the competition to
But who
become
is
the
going
one.
to win? Like, are there any that you think can possibly be that number one? Because at this point, look, people are saying, okay, well, XRP, it's never going to get to the big, huge monster that Bitcoin is. But if they are already making, these little moves, working with the freaking banking gangsters, mafia, whatever we want to call them.
XRP is just going to be a vector for transferring
I
assets.
mean, you
That's
don't
it.
think that there's going to be a need for it eventually? Say that, okay, hypothetically speaking,
You can already
what if it
hold on
does
before you
become the
move
main
on.
central
No,
freaking currency of the world? What if
it's not.
XRP does? Then there's going to
It
be that human need, and you don't think that it will
no,
grow and get
no.
bigger than
This
Bitcoin?
is this is this is where I have to
David
bring you
says
back a
leave,
couple steps here. Let's rein
like
it
let's
in
say
for
come
just a
back to
moment.
earth.
Yeah, let's rein it in for a moment here.
Okay.
Because XRP is the token, right? And the ledger is what will be used. You can already transfer many different types of assets using the XRP ledger. So that's its main use case. And that's what it will be used for. It's what it was demoed and touted to be used for. This is not a competition between Bitcoin and XRP in terms of who's going to be the big boogeyman in the world. At this point, it's about what is the use case. And I do think that eventually we have Bitcoin backing treasuries around the world, right? And that
Mhm.
means backing the actual treasury assets, which means that we're living in a much better world no matter what, because we actually have backed money, right?
Yeah.
Because every treasury is, eventually, now, maybe not in our lifetimes, but eventually, I do believe that Bitcoin and probably a basket of crypto assets will be backing these treasury issuances, these treasury auctions. So we're going to be in that system, and then on the other side of it, there will be some sort of a fiat vector. And if it's all digital, right now, that all digital vector is going to be um, USDT, USDC, JP Morgan's coin, Coinbase stable, the Aave stable, this stable, that stable. Just go down the list. All the damn stables you could possibly think of, all of the different vectors for stables, all of the different wrappers for stables, and they're going to compete. And you know who's got the lead? Tether. Tether's got the lead. And I have a response for David, by the way. David says, Landy stated ETH will flip Bitcoin. No, it won't. But you know what will flip Bitcoin's market cap? because everyone knows this. You know what's going to flip Bitcoin's market cap? Stable coins. Stable coins are going to flip Bitcoin's market cap. Are you kidding me? You're going to come in here and you're going to do this right
And
now? Come on. Come on. Let's do this. Yeah. Hello. Hello, sir. So yes, but stable coins are going to flip everything. That's going to be the highest
Hello?
market cap crypto asset in the world is going to be stable coins.
Caller number 1, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm just. Oh my God, this is loud. I'm just calling up. Landy, you talked about Ethereum flipping Bitcoin. That's why I rushed up here, being that you guys are talking about this subject. You talked about Ethereum flipping Bitcoin and XRP flipping Bitcoin as well, where Ethereum takes the number 1 spot and XRP
I mean,
takes the
Randy
number 2
didn't say
spot.
that, but I did.
No. He said it. He said it yesterday. So I just want him to just
It's funny because while you were connecting, I was actually reading your comment and I said, no, it's not. But you know what will? Stable coins. Stable coins will flip every single market cap out there to the tune of trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars of stable coins on chain. That would be the highest market cap crypto assets in the world. It ain't going to be Ethereum.
So
It
Bitcoins will
ain't
get
going to
flipped.
be.
Is this what you're saying right now?
Bitcoin will be flipped by stable coins. Yes.
You sound like you're in pain when you say that, though.
No, I'm not. It's a natural thing. I mean, what has a higher market cap in terms of circulation? Fiat currencies. I mean, we literally, but the beautiful thing about Bitcoin is it will be backing all of it. So what really has the higher market cap at the end of the day when we link Bitcoin to treasuries?
Where are those stable coins going to come off of?
Well, the stable coins are going to be moved. Obviously, you're going to all you got to do, the banks just have to move over on their balance sheet. All they have to move over is their treasuries, some cash, and immediately issue. And they're up and running. And then they want to get more, they want to issue more. They can just people will take their cash. They'll go to, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo. You're going to give them the cash. They will use that to mint, and they will immediately get access to treasuries to back. Once you mint, that will be backed. That cash will be used to buy the treasuries that will back the stable coin that you're going to get back. And that's the entire system is going to be siphoned off into a 1-to-1 backed system. That's what's going to make stable coins the largest market cap of any crypto. It's just math.
So will
And
these
XRP is going to be doing it. Sorry.
No, but I'm just saying, like, most of these stable coins are coming off of Ethereum, correct?
Well, that's not the point. They can come
BTC
off
and
of any network. Ethereum is going to be preferred because you have USDT, you have USDC, you have JP Morgan, you have Chase linking up with Coinbase. You've got Wells Fargo and Bank of America getting involved. And where are they looking? They're looking at Ethereum. And we all know why. They're looking at Ethereum because it's a working product that they can build off of if they want to, but they want an initial place to actually launch. But that's not going to directly benefit Ethereum's price immediately.
But what will it do to Bitcoin? No, honest conversation.
Yeah. What will it do to Bitcoin? Well, I mean, Bitcoin's price is going to continue to go up. What these stable issuance on Ethereum is going to do is it's going to create a very, 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 very large pool of stable coins directly on Ethereum's network. So you're going to see a massive push in Ethereum in terms of price. It's going to go wild. Because what they're going to need to do is they're going to need to, many of them are probably going to pivot from like Base and just run their own chains. We don't know that yet, but that's the way that things have been looking, as though like, hey, we're going to get up here, we'll get running, we're going to service institutions with our stablecoin JP Morgan, right? And then all they got to do is they can just fork off and run their own L2, right, on top of Ethereum. How does that benefit Ethereum's price? Well, we've already seen the price appreciation for Ethereum. It's not flowing downhill, and Vitalik and the Ethereum Foundation are well aware of this. So they're trying to take measures to correct that on layer one, because you need to generate fees in order to really get that network value up, get that coin, the base layer coin, to actually move in terms of price. and this is a problem, by the way, that Bitcoin faces as well. Not much network fees, very, very low. And everything, bridging out and building out away from it or on top of it doesn't directly benefit or create transactional volume on the network, which means that miner cost and is very much a challenge. You need those fees. Those fees help push the price naturally higher. Right now, what we have with Bitcoin is that we have massive amounts of adoption on very little circulating supply, which is pushing the price extremely high. It's not because of the volume of transactions on the network. And what Ethereum needs to do is solve the transaction problem on the base layer of the network. And then I think that it could go wild. I don't think it's going to catch Bitcoin because it's not viewed in the same way. It's viewed as a tool to build on, or a network to build on. Genuinely. And also, I don't think it's going to be where we're going to get CBDCs from either.
Well,
So where are we going to get CBDCs?
We're going to get CBDCs from the forks off of these various networks, off of XRP, off of Ethereum, off of Solana, and you're going to see highly centralized networks pop off of those because they can fully control and own the networks.
So is it safe to say that stable coins are the beta version of what's coming with and what's coming as CBDCs?
Yes, that's why we need to pass the anti-CBDC bill. We need it because we need some protections.
But isn't stable coins the same? Like, isn't stable coin CBDCs? I mean, what is the difference?
Because they're not. It's not the central bank that's the issuer. The central bank's not the issuer. That is the clear delineation.
Yeah, why do people keep on saying that when that's not true though? Stable coins have nothing to do with CBDCs. Like I don't understand why people keep saying that.
Oh, well, the reason that people keep saying that is because essentially we live in this Ouroboros or circular system where the one system feeds another, and the head of it is the Fed and the IMF and the biz and like all of that, right? Because they're pretty much in full control of all of these fiat systems. And if your entire society is operating based off of a fiat system, then anything within it is still controllable, right? The argument is we already live in a CBDC based system. It's just not what we would consider programmable CBDCs right now. So then by vector of just launching any kind of a peg against that's a CBDC, right? Like, but they can just shut you down for any reason. I could say something here, it goes out to YouTube, they figure out who I am, they don't like what I said, maybe then they shut my bank accounts down and then they come arrest me, right? Like they can do that right now. Like there's nothing preventing that.
Okay, so just to understand, so stable coins, those are private companies, or let's say private companies because they're like Circle, Tether, etc., right? And then
those are private companies, yes.
And then CBDC, so that this is a difference. I'm trying to understand the difference because I'm one of the ones that keep saying, it's like, okay, it's the same thing, we're moving to etc. So stable coins, we're going to consider them like private, and then CBDCs, those are the ones that are controlled by central banks, what you just said, correct?
Literally in the name, yeah. It's central bank digital currency, yeah. And you can have public and private issuers. That's actually one of the things that was being fought over in the Genius Act bill. Was like, everybody wants to concentrate on the on the issuer collecting the yield. That's not, you don't get native yield when you hold USDT or USDC. So anybody saying like, but the problem is, so give me just 1 second. Everybody was like, the actual big fight there was over private versus public issuers, and you can be a private or a public issuer, and that means that there is the opportunity for privatized, non-public entity issuance of stable coins, which we need. It's a check against one player really taking it all over, which we're going to see one player ultimately win, but they got to catch Tether. Good luck. They got a massive lead. Even they got a massive lead, and they've got a war chest. So even these banks, even these large institutions are looking at Tether like, we've got to catch them. So they have to slowly siphon off their entire books into this system. And that's what you're going to see is first they're going to do all kinds of issuing of stable coins. You're going to see this, and you're already seeing it, like all these different partnerships and stuff like that. Doesn't matter what chain at the end of the day, but point being is they're going to really start ramping up the issuance of stable coins. Lots of announcements coming, and it's going to be from all over the place. They now have to compete, but they already have large balances that they can move over of cash and treasuries to immediately start the process of getting issuance, right? Of being the issuer and getting their stable coin out there. But they're running behind in terms of time and tech. So they have a lot of time that they need to make up. They might have big old bags. But the next big shot across the bow, where they really are going to start taking things is once you have all this stable coin issuance, now you have a liquidity pair, right? What do you want to pair it with? Well, what do we know? The next biggest assets to be tokenized are stocks. So what do you do? If you're JP Morgan and you've got a whole bunch of products, you tokenize those and you pair them against your issued stable coin. So now you have an RWA paired against your stable coins. And this is going to be the next big boon. And that's going to be the race. The race is who can get the most amount of adoption through RWA pairs to their stable coins and have their stable coin be the dominant one. And that's where you're going to get all of the competition falling off. And then it's much easier to re-centralize. If you wanted to have, oh, well, now the Fed wants to adopt, Larry Fink USDC, right? LUSDC or something, right? Larry Fink's version of USDC. And then all of a sudden the Fed just wants that to be the one, right? That would be the danger is you get one player takes over and then the Fed adopts that. And now it's a centralized digital currency and they have full control.
So then it's safe to say that the end game is going to be CBDCs. So stable coins is just to get the public comfortable with digital dollar, introduce it, throw it out there. And then, it's like they start controlling money at the source, right?
They already control money at the source.
I mean, but even more so. I mean,
yeah, sure.
But I guess
it's going to depend on which country you're in. I don't look.
And what I mean, control money at the source is like worldwide.
Laws.
Yeah, like.
Uh-oh. Where'd you go?
What the hell happened? Is
David left?
Yeah, I'm like, bro, am I being kicked out? What the hell happened? But is it safe to say that? I mean, in a way.
Look, this is why we need that anti-CBDC bill passed, because what it effectively is, and maybe it's something that we can explore a little bit more on a different show or another show, but
yes,
one of the biggest things to understand about that is that there is always going to be the risk of CBDCs, right? And it's really going to come down to your government, right?
Yeah.
Because the central banks, like the Fed here can't just do whatever the hell they want. There's a lot of rules and regulations, and there is oversight. Is there a lot of room for corruption? Absolutely. But remember, this was set up by Congress, right? So at the end of the day, it's all about maintaining that relationship between the Fed and the Treasury and maintaining the stability of the banks and the stability of the economy, right? That's their goal. Yeah. And if a central bank digital currency, like there's a big event, an unwinding event that could be catastrophic for the economy, if we don't have legislation in place for anti-CBDCs or central bank issued digital currencies, then we're probably screwed, because that we need to prevent the central bank digital currency. It's okay to pair treasuries from the treasury and buy them from the Fed and then issue your own version of the US dollar. You're just issuing another vector for the US dollar. That's okay. Are we still under the purview of the Fed in terms of like the who's managing that side of the economy? Yes. But at the end of the day, this is really a bigger conversation between the treasury here, like in the United States. It's between the treasury and the government and the way that they spend money and the way that they deficit spend and the Fed and how the Fed enables that deficit spending, right?
Yeah.
And then has the levers to control um the under the guise of stabilization of inflation is they have all these different levers that they can control via, rate policy, right?
Yeah.
And if they're the ones issuing that digital currency, that's the problem, and that's what we need to prevent. But all it
But
takes is we're one event away.
do you think that they can really prevent it? I mean, I don't think that they're going to pass it because at the end of the day, that's the end goal, a central bank worldwide.
That might be their goal, but that's not the goal of the American people here. So let them do it, and the rest of the world have fun. You still are gonna have to deal with us Americans over
But
here.
at the end of
Good
the
luck.
day, it's like, do the people really run things? No, it's the elites, everybody that's behind, the banking gangsters, people that run the money, run the world.
Yeah, but they're afraid of things like Bitcoin. They're afraid of privacy protocols.
I
Look,
mean,
because
how can they
look
be
at choke
afraid
point,
if the government are the one,
because
combined
it was
with
a
all these
check on
elites are
them.
the ones that really created it? It's like, I
But these
don't
banks
think
are
that.
private. These banks are private. Government wants control. Government's going to always have a check on the private sector. If you really want to go down the government wants full control, understand these other entities are all private and they're doing their best to influence governments around the world by lending a helping hand and stabilizing markets and adding and create and making sure that liquidity is okay and like all this
Yeah.
other stuff and preventing runs and like that kind of stuff. These are private companies. These are private institutions. These are not government institutions. So anyone that thinks like, oh, well, the government is going to want to be in cahoots with a private institution. No, government wants control, baby. So why wouldn't they have a check on them? And that check could be your we could just encompass all of the builders, Satoshi, Vitalik, and all of the rest. Let's fund them all. They're all secret government ops that have been building these networks for us on the side as a check against this private industry that is trying to exercise control, total control and domination over us. And we are the ones who want to be in control. Right. So I just don't buy it, because then you would have to have the federal banks be rolled up into an arm of the government at that point. You lose power with that disconnect, because there still is that disconnect. And I know people don't want to believe it, but there still is that disconnect. Could we get rid of the Fed? Could we end it? Sure. It comes with a lot of pain. And it comes with a very big loss in terms of our economic stability, which damages our, this is why the end the Fed stuff really does not work. There is a way that you could unwind, but most people don't actually think through that. They just say, end the Fed, it's bad. Well, okay, then what? Like you end
Yeah.
it today, and then what happens? Everything starts to fall apart. So, because it's set up to survive in itself, right? What happens to
Mhm.
all the debt, right? How do you move it? Where do we go with an unwind? And that's actually something that I would love to have a debate with Hotep on sometime.
Maybe
And I would love
nothing. I
it.
was gonna
Not on
say
Friday
something,
though.
I caught myself, but I'll just tell you privately. Okay, so Landy, we're at the top of the hour. Uh, Tammy did have a few questions earlier in the chat. She asked if you had looked at the white paper MasterCard released in 2022.
Yes, it's been a while though, so I couldn't
It's
state
been a while.
anything from it right off the top of my head, but I'm aware of what
And
she's referring to.
yeah, she said MasterCard work with XRP. And then the other question, how will fractional reserve play into this? I think that was the
Well,
conversation we were having earlier.
yeah, I think that what we're going to see is the fractional reserve banking system fail over into one-to-one backed on-chain stablecoin system. it's gonna look like it does now, but you're gonna see these products being offered at banks pretty soon. They're just gonna you're gonna go in there. They want you to use their version of whatever the stable coin is that's gonna be one-to-one backed. It's just failing over the fractional reserve system into a one-to-one backed system.
Yeah.
And that's where the banking system is essentially being shored up at that point. And part of this is strategic on the global stage, because you don't want another adversary or foreign power to come in and try to destabilize the economy through the fractional banking reserve system, because they can just come in and just keep pumping and dumping and trading out of the dollar and trading back in and trading out of the dollar and that kind of stuff. One of the things that we actually have as a large lever here in the United States is that because of the type of system that we have and the type of currency control and economic control that the Fed can exercise in conjunction with the Treasury, it is a public-private partnership at the end of the day, is that they can export the dollar worldwide. Now, if you really wanted to get really down the rabbit hole, Leslie, is what if we created a whole bunch of digital dollars and they're running on networks that these large corporations are buying into, that are under the jurisdiction of the United States, and then we export a whole bunch of our dollars and then start controlling our dollars overseas via the players that are investing in these networks.
Are you saying that's happening, or that's a possibility for us to do? Because if it's a
Oh,
possibility for us to do, can we tap into that or go into that rabbit hole?
oh, that is a rabbit hole that, trust me, it goes deep. And it's something that, look, exporting the dollar is a very powerful thing. And in fact, I've talked a little bit about it with Hotep. I know he's talked about it prior, is that devaluing the currency allows for other countries to get our dollar cheaper, right? So it helps us in exports. We want to export more. We want to be a producer and rev up manufacturing. We need to get more exports out there to the rest of the world with all the trade deals.
Yeah.
And that's where having a cheaper dollar, they have a stronger, their currency being stronger than the Dixie at the moment. Having a cheaper dollar means that they can get more dollars, which means that it's actually really, it's a net benefit. So it's a net benefit for them to trade out into the dollar and actually import from the United States, so we can become a net exporter. And then they have to keep using our dollar. Well, what if you digitize that? And then all the companies that are utilizing those digital dollars for trade are under the purview of the United States, and now can keep guiding it and squeezing it and directing it, because it's all about aiming the money funnel, right? We have
Yeah.
guardrails within our economics, within our economic system and within our fiat backed system. You just look at KYC, AML, and all of the different laws that they can use to actually get you on at your bank if you're doing something untoward, if you're a criminal, or if they suspect you're a criminal, or you're accused of being a criminal and they want to freeze everything. We already have those guardrails. And it's all about aiming the money funnel, and you get to aim it where you want. Well, what if you got a whole bunch of corporations that have a whole bunch of digital dollars that all of these other international institutions want to use for trade, right? To get American products and to trade in and out of the dollar easy. Well, now you're exporting the dollar more, which is more and more control. And then you can direct where the money funnel goes by putting up guardrails. And all you have to do it, you don't even have to do it through programmability. You can just do it through policy.
Sorry, I was interrupted. Just
You're good.
a little. Okay, so I have a special guest for you, Landy.
Oh boy. Hey, what's up?
Tabby,
Can you guys
What's
hear
up,
me?
Tammy?
we
Yeah.
can, yes.
Yay! I'm still making dinner right now for Dave and I. So, but I wanted to pop in and just say hi, because I couldn't just leave you hanging. I got a little busy. I got buried in Excel spreadsheets today. So, and helping Dave with a meeting that's coming up. But interesting conversation, guys.
Yeah.
It's all a conspiracy theory.
It is. It is. I remember when the reason I asked and posed that question about MasterCard, I remember there was something going on that I really kind of dove deep into the MasterCard. I went down the rabbit hole, and into their into their like main webpage, and I was able to like really. It took me a minute to find it. It was buried pretty good in there, but the white paper that they had, and I mean, I could go on a rant for an hour about credit card companies, but um, yeah, they want their piece too. So it's interesting
Yeah.
if you check into it and look into it.
Well, look at Chase Bank partnering with Coinbase, right, for the card, and that's
Exactly.
yeah. So yeah, they're all gonna worm their way in. Yeah.
And don't you feel too, Landy, that over and Leslie both, because I know I've talked about this before, and I think the way that it was explained to me was um very helpful to me when I got into crypto back at Dogecoin days. Doge is what brought me in, but um, I feel like my background in banking for so many years, I feel like they have really moved everybody over digitally anyway.
Hmm.
So the way that I like to explain crypto to people is, you know, you go to the store, you buy something, there is no money that changes hands there. It's all digitally done. So they've been basically preparing everybody and conditioning them over how many years now to do that. So I think, you know, they obviously have been working behind the scenes, but I think that they want to make it a little more seamless doing it that way because it's something that's normal for people now. It's very normalized to do everything digitally. So um, I don't know. I think that's going down a conspiracy rabbit hole too, talking about that. But just the push to do that, I think it will make it a little more seamless for them.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think next episode we can talk about what Landy was talking about, conspiracy theory wise, and then all this other information, because I think this can possibly, or no, it is a very long topic. There's like so much to unpack.
Yeah, and just real quick on the Mastercard side of things. So Mastercard, in terms of their cross-border payments stuff, their business side for cross-border payments, you know, they've integrated obviously with JP Morgan, right? So um, there the was it Onyx? No, it's not Onyx anymore. It's a different company now. But it's basically their real time B2B payments. And then of course they Ripple for their cross border stuff, and and CBDC's Post Genius Act. Now that's for interacting with central bank digital currencies that are in pilot and or being launched worldwide. Then they have partnerships with Consensus and Fireblocks, and that's part of their Mastercard. I believe it's called the Mastercard CBDC Partner Program, and I think that might be because they started this one. They had the white paper in 2022, and I believe that their actual working relationship started with Consensus, and I want to say that was 23. Could have been 23 into 24. I don't quite remember. Um, they're also big on the identity side. Then they, of course, they have all of their payment integration stuff and their partnerships with like Chainlink, um, Fiserv. I know that they've, obviously they're into the wallet game too. So they partnered with the different exchanges and popular wallets to enable, to enable relationships on that side of things as well. So they have a whole market approach, a post Genius Act approach, where they still are terming their stuff as CBDCs, and they've deepened some of the relationships because I know they just partnered with the most recent partnership that they had was, I want to say last year was JP Morgan. I'd have to go double check a lot of that, but I
Yeah, it
know
is
that I'm
JP
on the right
Morgan.
track. Yeah.
You are.
So and I believe it's still termed their Mastercard CBDC partner program because they're part of the pilot. Like Mastercard and a lot of these other players are part of these CBDC pilots around the world, including the two that were just killed here in the United States. They were all part of it. It's wild. Buy Bitcoin.
It's wild. Buy Bitcoin. Oh my goodness gracious. I mean, this hour went by super fast. Tammy left. Tammy, thank you for coming up here and asking questions. Everybody, don't forget. Oh, there she is again. I'm like, she cut off. It's the internet, right?
Yes, it's horrible. We've got storms right now, and I don't know what is happening. I was trying to go and look at something, and I think I messed it up. So sorry. I was trying desperately to get back in here because I'm doing it on my phone. Sorry, guys.
No,
Oh,
it
no
will
worries,
boot
no
you.
worries. So, I guess the only other thing that I would say is call your reps and tell them to pass the anti-CBDC legislation because it is a check on the system. If even just a temporary Band-Aid, we need
Mhm.
it.
Abso-freaking-lutely. I think when I run for city councilwoman down here, that's one of the things that I am going to really emphasize and promote. I'm
Yep.
also going to be doing training down here for cryptocurrency on stuff that I really don't know because everything's a conspiracy theory to me. So let's see how the hell educated these people come out after.
Hey, Dave and I are coming down there, in November. So I'll go out and campaign for you.
Yes. If people don't know, Landy is going to be my campaign manager. Landy's like,
Perfect
do not
choice.
suck me into this crazy shit.
You're gonna pull me back into the world of politics. I'm gonna have to go and stomp some heads to get some money, huh? I'm
Yes.
gonna go down there. I'm gonna scare the ever loving shit out of them. You want CBDCs in your life? Give us
I'm
money
gonna
and
be
we'll
like,
stop it
Landy,
all.
please help. We're going into politics, Landy.
Oh, we're gonna go into a ditch on the side of the road if we're not careful. These small little towns. Woo.
Oh, you know what? Let me tell you, I don't know what the hell I'm getting myself into, but the more out there, the more I'm being introduced people and the more that they tell me things and they are coming on camera to tell me and talk some about some of these things. So I don't know. I might be getting the freaking black vans showing up at my house because of some of the material that I will be putting out there, which I'm so excited. I am so
Oh,
freaking
just be
excited.
careful. That's all. Just be careful.
Somebody told me like you're not afraid, and I'm like, afraid of what? I'm like, the thing is, I'm not afraid to die. So I mean, whatever happens, happens, right?
Leslie.
She's gonna
Is that
start playing
very
a
ugly?
Tupac song after this.
If I
That's my
ever go
guy.
missing, if I ever go missing and they say that I committed suicide, it wasn't me.
Oh
I
man.
promise you guys it was not me. Landy, oh my gosh, I didn't even clip it. Tammy, I didn't clip it. But yesterday I was interviewing somebody and I sat down next to him and he told me there are clones walking amongst us.
Yo, I
And I
need to
wanted to
see
clip
this.
and it's recorded and I wanted to clip it and play it for tonight, but I'll do it for I'll do it for next Wednesday when Rob's here. But he literally and I was like, "Really? Oh, really?" And I was like, so I got that on camera. Can you believe a person out there? He was
But
saying there's
wait,
in
what was
that
the
it
kicker to that? What was the kicker to that though? Is that the clones in 2020 they were
okay,
there
so
and now
right,
they're not, right? People are being
right.
replaced, but now they're not. Now the clones aren't there anymore, or something.
Yeah, so Tammy, I was asking him questions and then how long he was there, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, I've been here for 10 years, during COVID. And then when I first got here, they were cloning people. And I was like, wait, wait, wait. You're talking about this small town. And then he was like, yeah, they're cloning people here. And I said, they're still cloning people? He's like, no, they were cloning people here like during COVID. And I said, okay, so are they walking amongst us? And he was like, they were walking amongst us during that time. But there's not that many people here. And I was like, is it because they cloned people? Is that why it's been very difficult for you to get a job?
Leslie. Leslie, was his name Nico?
Nico. Oh my God. And
The clones
So
took my jobs.
no, I was let me go back and look at the video, but that was, I think that was the exact conversation because I did ask, because of the clothes, was it very difficult?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's wild. Like, to turn around and ask him, like, like
And,
essentially, you're implying, like, you know what? These damn clones came here into my
yeah.
town, and took my job.
So, and I don't remember what he was saying. And then after I was like, "Are there clones amongst us right now?" He's like, "No, not anymore." I'm like, "Or you think they're not amongst us? They probably are, and we're not aware."
I'm sorry.
Once he
Oh
started
my
talking
god.
clones and conspiracy, I was like, "Yes."
Yeah, that's too wild.
You're like, "You're my people."
You're my people. And then, I was with a couple of gentlemen. And then when we walked away, they were like, "No, he probably say hi." It's like you're normal. And I was like, guys, no, he's talking facts. And they're looking at me. And I'm like, you guys know, like AI, and there's facilities in certain parts of the world where they're actually really cloning us and the humans, and they're like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" And I'm like freaking them out.
Oh my god. I'm dying
Oh
over
my
here.
god, and then, like, afterwards, I just, like, busted out laughing, but the guys
I
are
have
like,
so many
"What
more
the"
questions for this guy now.
Yeah.
I
Like,
know we need
where
to
did the
find him.
clones go? Where did they go? Did they just leave and go and move somewhere else? Are they did their clone bodies not hold up well? Like, what happened? Like,
Let me tell you now, when I listened to it last night, and now going back and thinking, I'm like, "Man, there's so many questions." I coulda kept this going, but let me tell you, the sun was bright, we were in the middle of the street sitting on the floor because I sat down with him, he was sitting on the floor, and here I go, sitting next to him, and then I was interviewing him and asking him questions. And it's like you could hear cars passing by, some of them were, like, honking loud music because it was, like, in a main road, and here we are sitting on the freaking floor, and, going back, I'm like, I wish I could see him again so I can interview him and ask him more questions, conspiracy theory, and that would be, like, good material for the show as well. Because I'm
Leslie,
like,
you know
what
he's
it
gonna be looking for you. He's gonna be looking for you now, so he'll probably be easy to find. Or his
Yeah,
clone.
I mean, he said that he's been there, like, for 10 years, and so he roams around the streets, so I'm pretty sure, and it's a very small town. Therefore, if I go back down there, I think that I can probably find him and be like, "Hey, can I interview you again?" Because I asked him, "Can I interview you?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah." I was like, "Okay."
Nice.
it's a really small town. It's like, "Oh, who's that guy? Oh, that's Bob. Yeah, that homeless guy over there is Bob. Like, yeah, that's Bob. He's the mayor."
Exactly.
Bob the mayor. Oh my god, and then, they're gonna probably end up knowing me like that lady that goes around interviewing people. I'm just gonna start going on the street and interviewing people for crazy stuff. "Hey, did you see the UFO?" You know what? Maybe I should do that because can you imagine if I start asking questions like that and then they just start having diarrhea of the mouth of what they see, etcetera, and then it becomes a reality of other stuff, other conspiracies, government-wise and things like that?
I think that'd be good, Leslie, actually. Talk
Yeah.
to him about shapeshifters, talk to him about all that stuff. Dude, I
Yes.
could go down so many conspiracy rabbit holes, it's not even funny.
Yeah, and then this town, everybody knows everybody, so they're probably going to be, to, like, my sister and my brother, like, "Hey, your sister's kinda crazy going around asking questions like that." I'm like, "Yeah, just a little."
You know what? That's content right there. It's just you going around asking people, like, woman on the street, just asking them wild conspiracy questions.
Right? I think one day I'm going to do that and just it'll be funny.
You know, you should ask people if they're afraid of CBDCs. That should be one of your
They'll be like, "What
questions.
the hell is that?" When we were out in the streets, roaming the streets, I did ask a lot of people, like, if they
Mhm.
knew what cryptocurrency was, and 90% did not know.
Hmm. Yeah,
They did
probably not.
no. And then we ended up walking and we ended up filming in Mexico as well. And people that we would stop and talk to too, I would be like, you know what cryptocurrency is? ¿Sabes qué es criptomoneda? And they're like, no, never heard of it. And I'm like, wait, no, like you would think that a lot more people, but no, they a lot of people that I spoke with, they don't even know what cryptocurrency is. And I was like, it's the future. Get on board.
You're onboarding them to our CBDC backed system. What are you doing?
It's the future. Get on board. No, it was a fun time. I got severely dehydrated again.
Oh boy. See, that does not make for a fun time. Make sure you're drinking enough water when you're out there doing the woman on the street interviews. You got to be coming back here and reporting back. Can't have you out
That's
there
right.
just
Yeah.
shriveled up.
We don't need her
Yeah.
passing out there. I've been there before. It's not fun. Don't do it.
I had hydration yesterday and today. No, it was so much fun though. I did enjoy going down out. We went out. I think we were out from, I would have to say, about 3:30, 4 o'clock till like 8 o'clock at night last night.
Yeah.
So it
boy.
was yeah, it was a lot. It was hot. Okay,
Yeah,
ladies
I
and
bet.
gentlemen, go ahead.
I
Sorry,
was just
Landy.
gonna say I am looking forward to the next iteration of this discussion because I have some conspiracy theories that I can float to you because as someone that has been around in this, we'll call it messing around with blockchain technology for a little while. I have theories in the way that I would see a really good implementation to take over the world and gain full global control with the systems in place right now, which I
Landy,
don't
I
see
want
them
to
doing.
do something fun. Next episode, because we're also going to have Rob here. Tell me what conspiracy you want to go down. Don't tell me what your conspiracy theory is. Just tell me like the topic or what it is, enough for me to research and come up with some questions based on whatever theory you give.
Okay. All right.
See
Yeah, we can do that.
and see if I can pick your brain or if we are in sync with thinking a certain way with conspiracy theories or if I just completely go off the handle.
It's like he's
Hey,
confirming
Leslie?
it all.
Can we talk about my Steve Jobs conspiracy theory? Not
Yes.
now, but next time. And when I'm not making dinner and busy in my kitchen, then obviously I can come on camera. But because
Oh
I'm not
my God.
scared.
Yes, let's talk about it. So, you guys, don't forget to tune in next Wednesday for conspiracy theory. Landy's going to bring his own conspiracy theory. I'm going to question Landy's conspiracy theory that I have no idea what it is about. And then Tammy's going to come in strong with Steve Jobs conspiracy theory. I don't think Landy has heard your Steve Jobs conspiracy theory.
No, I haven't.
Probably
Oh my
not,
God.
but he's probably scared. It's okay, Landy. It'll be all right. I'll hold your hand through it. It's okay.
Oh my God. Yes. Next episode is going to be conspiracy theory bag of Skittles. And then whatever wrench Rob wants to throw in there as well.
Oh my God, that reminds me of like the candy dish. I brought this. We're going to be dumping in our conspiracies into a big bowl. I love it.
Next show is going to be a conspiracy bring your own meal.
It's literally a conspiracy potluck.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, everybody, we have reached the end of the show. Tune in tonight for Langley Landy. It starts at 8:30 EST. His shit. Wait, where's my schedule? Macro Monday with no, it's
Today's
the
Wednesday.
Wednesday check. Today is Wednesday. What? Wait, did I just blink like my show and appeared and it's Wednesday? This is a freaking conspiracy. This is a simulation. I thought it was Monday. No, but tune in tonight to the Wednesday check-in with Landy. And then at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you have the nightly recap with David Gokhshtein. And then everybody knows all the shows for tomorrow, right? 9 a.m. Crypto Talk with DG. 12 p.m. No, that's wrong. 1 p.m. The breakdown with DG. I don't know if he's gonna have it. You gotta ask him. Then you have 2 p.m. Hotep Jesus live with Hotep Jesus. Guys, am I stuttering?
No.
And then 4 p.m. you have Crypto News with Julie Kennis. And then tomorrow Landy is off until Friday. And then I am off until Friday again. So with that being said, that's a wrap for today's show, you truth seekers, deep divers, and digital rebels. Thank you for tuning in. And remember, we don't chase trends, we expose patterns. Stay sharp, stay loud, stay free. This is the Conspiracy Unplugged signing off. Until next time, don't get taken by the aliens because I am waiting for them.
Beam me up.
And there's a lot of writing tonight. Well, some of you a lot of it, but I don't even know the very interesting question.
Welcome to Conspiracy Unplugged, the ultimate conspiracy. We are in a